I'm going to go through every single one of the United States presidents and rank them in a tier list. And maybe that's not interesting to you in any way, shape, or form, but I promise I have fun facts. It's not going to be history class. It's gonna be fun. Don't do that. I'm doing it. I watched like 7 hours of U.S. president. That's like my favorite shit in the world. UFC, U.S. presidents, stand-up comedy. That's like that's my big 3. Those are 3 pillars. Rank them based how hot their wives are. See, I thought about doing so here was my thought is, if this is really boring to you guys can play along at home, except you tier list them based off of their attractiveness. That's what I was thinking. So you're a big politics guy? No, I don't care for politics. I just care about fun facts about presidents. I don't know why that interests me. But, like Lyndon B. Johnson used to show his dick to everyone. That's hilarious to me. That the leader of this country at one point in time would go to the press and he'd be like, would you like to see my penis? Actually, he wouldn't even ask. He'd be like, check this penis out. He had a really big dick. And he would whip it out. And he'd be like, yo, check this out. Frankie Bean, thank you for the 15 months. Or Theodore Roosevelt. He would box people in the Oval Office. That's hilarious. That's the kind of shit I care about. I don't give a fuck about their policies or whatever. So I think I'm going to rank them based off of them as people, but I feel like I almost have to incorporate their presidency into the U.S. president's tier list. This is for me, all right? This is for me. You guys can stick around if you want, or you can leave. I don't care. This is for me. I've had a shit week, and this is interesting to me. I talked to my sister this morning, and I was like, I'm thinking about doing this on stream, but I feel like no one will care at all. And she was like, yeah, probably not. I was like, I know, but I think I'm going to do it still, because I enjoy it. I'm too lazy to Google it. Which president shit to death? That was James K. Polk. He actually died of typhus, or typhoid. He died of typhoid, which is when bacteria gets in your blood, but he did shit to death, pretty much. That's how he died. James K. Polk. He also had a crazy presidency. He was an imperialist to the end. James K. You see what I'm talking about? I fucking know this shit, dude. This is crazy. Do you know? You just brought up the random shitting to death fact, and I'm fucking killing it right now. All right? Yeah, he had typhoid. He died of chronic diarrhea, technically typhoid, and he captured Texas and California in his presidency, in his 4-year term. And then he fucking died in Tennessee right after. Right after. JFK is an S tier. He's mind-blowing. Oh, yeah, dude. I watched that footage today. I watched JFK's head get fucking blown off this morning. I don't know what I was on this morning. I was on a huge kick of the U.S. presidents. And what's crazy is his head gets fucking blown off and his brain is like hanging back here. And then Jackie was like trying to put his brain back in. Like she's holding his brain. And she said she did that so that maybe the surge, like there'd be a chance of him living or something, but it's like he's super dead. I don't. But also she kept the blood-stained clothes on during all the press after to like show how horrible his death was or whatever. The video's fucking insane. His head straight up blows off. He was shot twice. He was shot maybe more, but I think it was twice. He got shot in the neck, and then he's just kind of chilling. And then he like leans in to talk to Jackie, and then his head gets blown off. Anyways, so that's what we're gonna do. My wheelhouses. I know a lot about joint reconstruction surgery, specifically with arthritic patients, and I know a lot about the U.S. presidents. And that's it. That's it. And both useless. Useless. Absolutely useless. Just never can be brought up in conversation whatsoever. But, let's rock and roll. Let's do it. Let's do it, ladies and gents. Let me pee first. I know we're only 30 minutes into stream. The British presidents, first of all, do UK presidents were better? First of all, you don't call them presidents. The UK has a goddamn reality show. That's what the UK has. It's like keeping up with the Kardashians. That's what the fucking royal family is. You guys don't have presidents. You have keeping up with the Kardashians as your legislation. You have mascots that are like, you know, oi, bro, can you believe that Prince Charles cheated on Princess Diana? That's crazy, bruv. And it's like, that's your legislation? That's crazy. What are we talking about? Or I guess you have prime ministers. What the fuck is the royal family then? Whatever. I don't give a fuck about the UK at all. So we're not detailing the UK. I also don't know anything about UK prime ministers, so. Oi, bruv, can you believe that fucking, whatever, Queen Elizabeth died? Oh, who cares, dude? She was 1,000 years old. She should have died a long time ago. She's been dead, though. I guess she really did die a long time ago. She's been dead for, like, years. All right, I'm gonna pee. And, oh, it's hot. My secret that I don't admit to people is that I still watch Handsome. Yeah, I mean, I think if you tell the general public that, they're going to be like, who? You know, I don't think they're really going to be. I think very few people would be like, you know, I don't think many people are going to care. Oh, there we go. TB logo. No, I get flamed? Oh, I don't know. I'm a pretty fun guy, I feel like. I'm a pretty fun dude, full of fun things. You know, the guy with the pink tip. Yeah, that sucks. That's usually how I get recognized. Not my penis. Not they see my penis and they're like, whoa, wait a second, pink tip. But it's like almost always like, I think I've seen you on TikTok before. Every once in a while I'll run into somebody that's like, you know, oh, love the YouTube vids or whatever. But that's more rare than, I think I've seen you on TikTok or something. Because there was a time where like, probably Obama saw what I was posting on TikTok. I could post a video of me shitting my pants and it would get 700,000 likes. You know, sometimes TikTok just pushes people. Like Vanilla Mace right now, that's the person they're pushing. You know what I'm saying? Like sometimes they just pick a person and they're like pushing that person. Which she's awesome. She rocks. And that's how I found her, is all the recent clips and stuff. She rocks cocks. But my point is that TikTok just kind of like picks you know, the golden child for like 6 months or whatever. All right. So this might be when a lot of you people click off, but this is one of my autistic hyperfixations, the U.S. presidents. Now, I wanted to show you all this video. I watched this video this morning along with a myriad of other videos that I watch. Also, I forgot to mention this. I wanted to mention this. Morphine. One of the worst side effects of morphine is you get constipated. So any foods you eat throughout the day stays in your stomach. I look pregnant. I was changing shirts earlier and I was like, wow, hold on. That's crazy. I look completely pregnant. I'm not going to show you, but just know, I mean, if impreg is your thing, then I'm your guy because I look fully fucking pregnant. My poop is not ready by any regard. What's with the dirty wall? That's Ash from Guy Fieri. I set him on fire with a flamethrower a long time ago. I'm like a seahorse. Okay, so this is the sounds of presidents. The voice of 24 U.S. presidents. This is the 1800s. We have record of Benjamin Harrison speaking. It's not good, but listen to this shit. So I don't know what he's saying, but that's crazy that we can... The 1800s? I mean, late 1800s, yeah, but still. You can hear this one. This is... Also the 1800s. This is when, like at this time, they still kind of sounded British a little bit. I think they call it mid-Atlantic accent as opposed to transatlantic accent, but it's like, In the time of the bad, like they kind of sound like black preachers.
By saying that the people of those states will declare our helpless impotency as a nation to attend to our own business.
But in the time of the days that we once stood still and we did the... So, William McKinley got assassinated, by the way. I don't know if you guys... Not many people know about the William McKinley assassination.
Then it was a struggle to preserve the government.
You see what I'm saying? Like, all of them sound like that in the 1800s.
The United States. Now it is a struggle to preserve the financial...
Now it is a struggle of the thing that we do and blah, 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 blah. Dude, y'all, I guarantee none of y'all, maybe a few, know what Teddy Roosevelt sounds like. You are not ready for this, dude. Kit Kat, thank you for the 21 months. They sound racist? They were all racist. They actually, we'll get into this later when I do the tier list, but many of the presidents, even the early ones, like George Washington, Thomas Jefferson, behind closed doors, they would be like, yo, slavery is low-key fucked up. And then they would have 17 slaves. You know what I'm saying? Like, they would, like in the same way that in the 80s or the 90s or whatever, Republicans would be like, behind closed doors, of course gay marriage is fine. Like, that's, why wouldn't they be allowed to get married? But in their campaign, they had to be like, this shit's super fucked up that gay people can't get married, you know, just because they have to, like, pander to their audience or whatever. We'll get into the slavery talk later because the Civil War is like a huge... There's a span of like 5 presidents that pretty much directly caused the Civil War and then gave it to Abraham Lincoln, and they were like, I guess just deal with this. And he was like, what? You know? Anyways, Teddy Roosevelt.
The great fundamental issue now before our people can be stated. It is, are the American people fit to govern themselves, to rule themselves?
Doesn't he sound so, like, his voice is just so high-pitched. I mean, he rocked. He was fucking awesome, but...
I believe they are. My opponents do not. I believe in the right of the people to rule.
Also, they say that, Teddy Roosevelt had, like, super duper 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 autism and ADHD. Like, he was so, like, hyperactive and, like... But at that time, they didn't have the means to really treat it. But he was super autistic and ADHD. He was on go mode all the time. And people said he was, like, a bit socially awkward. Like, he was good with people, but he was, you know, like, very... Just like...
I believe that the majority of the plain people of the...
Temptation and demagoguery could not stand what the...
Men have wandered far
out of the sale of his country.
Calvin Coolidge sounds hilarious. He was during the Great Depression era. Also, he seemingly was the only president that gave a fuck about the Native Americans. There's a picture of Calvin Coolidge actually in... Who are these people? Dude, watch my cursor. Watch it. Watch it. It's moving slowly just for you. Oh, we're going back. Shit. Maybe one more time. Yeah, also, there's a fucking giant American flag. Calvin Coolidge, Great Depression era, but the only president that gave a fuck about the Native Americans. There's a picture of Calvin Coolidge in headdress. So basically, Calvin Coolidge passed a law that made every Native American a U.S. citizen, which was great, you know. But this is well after the Trail of Tears and after they had been fucked of all their land. But he sounds hilarious.
Needs every ounce of its energy to restore itself.
He straight up sounds like my great-grandma before she got super dementia and could only say one word.
Costs of government are all assessed upon the
Also,
people.
my great-grandma would have been He sounds sleepy? Oh, my God. I don't know if you said that intentionally. See, I know too much about the presidents. Calvin Coolidge, this is a ridiculous fact, but Calvin Coolidge is widely considered the sleepiest president. He would sleep 12 hours a day, and he would he got inaugurated in the middle of the night. Not even in the middle. It was like 9 p.m. and he was already sleeping, and they had to wake him up, and he got inaugurated, and that's how he. But he was widely regarded as the sleepiest president. I believe that's called narcolepsy. He probably had narcolepsy, but again, at this time in the early 1900s, they probably did not consider that an actual medical ailment.
People.
He beat Sleepy Joe, dude. He beat Sleepy Joe for sure. I'm going to change the title, but very slowly, because I have one arm. What? Fuck. I'm sorry. That was a crazy sound. Wait, that's all caps again. Rank. Okay. God damn. It's so hard to type anything. Ranking every... Are you guys having a good time? I feel like this is fun. I don't know. I mean, this is interesting to me, at least. And then maybe it's interesting for you to see me geek out on shit.
This means that the pound
We'll even entertain.
Herbert Hoover, the only president to have a picture with Hitler. There's a picture of Herbert Hoover and Hitler together. Before Hitler was like Hitler. You know, at that time he was the Austrian painter. But there's a picture of them having dinner together.
The dangerous.
Also, shitty president. Franklin D. Roosevelt, highly regarded as one of the greatest presidents.
And Australasia and the high seas.
So we still have the transatlantic accent at this point. It kind of stops at, I believe, Truman. Who is next?
Until the military power of Japan is destroyed.
Am I fucking goated or what? Holy shit. God, I get all this shit right. Truman from Missouri. That's why he doesn't have the like thick transatlantic accent. He dropped the bomb on Hiroshima. That was Truman. That was Truman's big thing. He was the nuke guy. Many people have divisive opinions on Truman. He's either regarded as like a really good president or a really poor president, depending on what you believe. He does not regret dropping the atomic bomb on Japan. He felt it was necessary.
Was the power.
How the fuck do you know all this? This is, again, my autistic hyperfixation. I don't know why it's so interesting to me. But it is. I'm very interested in the history of the U.S. presidents. It started out as just like I'd like to learn fun facts about them, but then from that you kind of learn their political ideology and
Of
things.
the European dictators.
Because I was not that great at history. I was a big English and literature guy.
To do that, we are now
This is like a post-high school thing, like a college
engaged
thing.
in a process of deploying
Requires our participation, essential.
Eisenhower. There's a picture of Eisenhower looking super gay. Hold on. He was also a general in one of the wars. Hold on. If I look up Eisenhower gay, I guarantee you. Yeah. So there's Eisenhower being all gay and stuff. I don't know if they told him like, yo, you should pose like this. Cuntenhower. Yeah, this is Cuntenhower, bro. That's him. There's a picture, there's a Photoshop, they Photoshopped the American flag as the pride flag with him sitting like this. So, again, happy Pride Month, everyone. I quite like sitting like this. You know, it crushes my balls a bit.
Our major and special.
And I want to say this to the television audience.
The right to vote in this country.
I know whether or not their president...
I went before your senators.
Gerald Ford, crazy CT.
That would advance.
Ronald Reagan, hilarious president, charismatic president, not a great actual president. He kind of falls into the category of people that are awesome that were not good presidents. When's the tier list start? Right now. Rock and roll. Here we go, ladies and gents. Yonkers. Personality hire? Exactly. That was Ronald Reagan. So, we are going to go through every single U.S. president right now and rank them, and then we'll get to some more reaction stuff. I've got some videos to watch later. I want to watch the top 10 most viewed TikToks of all time. I read an article about it earlier, and it's all just the lamest shit. What's the ranking based on? That's a great question. I don't really know. Because I feel like I don't know enough about their actual presidency to give an accurate tier list. So I'm going to incorporate the very little I know about their actual presidency, plus fun facts I know about them. And you guys can play Smash or Pass if you would like. So we're really going just vibes. George Washington, we're going S tier. Highly regarded as, like, most every president's favorite president. They wanted him to be a fucking king. Smash, really? Smash Washington? Yeah, you guys do that every time. Every time we get to a new president, you just give me Smash or Pass. And we can talk about that too. He probably stank too, and this might change your opinion. He had slave teeth in his mouth. So that might make me go down. I might move him down to A on account of the slave teeth. But that's really every dude up until like here that had slaves and, you know. So he had wooden teeth. No, he didn't have wooden teeth. He had real teeth that were slave teeth. Also, the story about him with the cherry tree, that's always made no fucking sense to me. He just was like, yes, I did cut down all your trees. Like, it's just supposed to be like, well, he doesn't tell lies, but, like, he also did cut down all the trees. I thought he had wooden teeth. He did not. That is a misconception. He had, it was a mixture. I mean, 2 or 3 might have been wood, but he had he had lead teeth. He had maybe some wooden teeth, but he also had legit slave teeth in his mouth. Previously in the mouths of slaves who had died. So I would say S tier, but we're going to A tier on account of the slave teeth. But that was kind of the times. So, you know, maybe we don't take away that many points. Yeah, it was the 1700s grills, essentially. Slave teeth, I guess. He crossed the Delaware. Also, this was the era in which the leader of the country would be on the fucking front lines. Like, you know, now you would never, like, Joe Biden wouldn't be in Afghanistan on the front lines. You know what I'm saying? But in this day and age, it was like he's leading the fucking crew. He owned a lot of slaves, bruh. I really hate to break it to you, but again, all of these guys own slaves. All of these guys. Abraham Lincoln. Actually, I don't know that one for sure. He may have not owned slaves. You're going to shit bricks when we get to Thomas Jefferson. John Adams, I feel like I don't know enough about John Adams to give an accurate depiction of John Adams. Again, regarded as a good president. All these guys are kind of regarded as good presidents. Smash or pass, what do you think? Only president I know about is Martin Van Buren because I did a report on him when I was like 14. He's awesome. He is a good president. I'll probably give him S tier, maybe A tier. He was short. Yeah, I know that much. He was a short guy. Thomas Jefferson, we'll go... good president, but also we'll go C. So I would put him at A, but I'm gonna knock him a couple tiers because Thomas Jefferson. So we're getting a lot of smashes, but listen to this detail. Thomas Jefferson impregnated a slave, right? So he owned so many slaves. Actually, Thomas Jefferson holds the record for most slaves owned of all the presidents. Thomas Jefferson holds the record for most slaves. So Thomas Jefferson had the most slaves of all the presidents, and he came inside one of the slaves and had several, half Jefferson, half slave kids. And this detail is crazy, is he didn't free any of his children. He went to court to be like, to testify against freeing his kids because, they were half white guy, half slave at the time, and none of them were freed. Maybe one, I'm not exactly remembering correctly. It might be the morphine, but so he had a bunch of mixed babies and freed none of them. So what is this? It is, in fact, in the title. I'm ranking every U.S. president. I don't understand why people ask that question because that's in the title of the stream. But to answer your question, I'm ranking every U.S. president. Why is he C tier? Because he was a good president. But his character, we're bumping him, 2 or 3 tiers. James Madison, again, I don't know enough about James Madison. I think he was a bad president. If I remember correctly, what did James Madison do? Wait a second. Did James Madison pass the bill? Wait a minute. That might have been James Madison. Hold on. Let me look it up. Fucking, this cast makes it impossible to type. Is it called the Alien Act? Alien and Sedition Acts. Is that James Madison? Who passed that? This is like the worst law passed in American history. Oh, who did it? Oh, I'm getting it mixed up. Okay, it was John Adams that passed the Alien and Sedition Act. So this sounds boring right now, but get ready. If I remember correctly, the Alien and Sedition Act, if you saw an immigrant, you could just send an immigrant home. You could just send, that was John Adams, so I'm gonna put F. But he was one of the founding fathers, so maybe D. Yeah, you could just be like, you could just imprison an immigrant, if I remember correctly. That was John Adams, the second guy we looked at. You could just imprison. Maybe I do F. I feel bad for even. Yeah, so John Adams. If you saw an immigrant, you could just put him in jail. James Madison, don't know enough about James Madison. James Monroe, probably did some fucky shit, but again, I don't know enough about him. John Quincy Adams, I'm going A tier with John Quincy Adams. So John Quincy Adams lived until he was like 90, and he saw eight presidencies. John Quincy Adams saw, 8. He saw from Washington to, was it Lincoln? He might have seen more than 8. He saw from Washington to Lincoln, I'm pretty sure. He lived a long fucking time. And he had a good bill that he passed, if I remember correctly, but I think he also had something that infringed upon the freedom of speech, like you couldn't talk shit about the government or something. A lot of these guys did that, though. Oh, wait, fuck. Was that Martin Van Buren? I might be mixing up John Quincy Adams and Martin Van Buren. I can't remember. It doesn't matter that much. Crazy, I saw you at the Diddy party. Now your elbow is broken. Okay, no, I was not at any Diddy party. I was not nearly popular enough at the time. It's either Martin Van Buren or John Quincy Adams. I'm pretty sure it's John Quincy Adams. No, it might be Martin Van Buren. I can't remember. Abe Lincoln owned slaves too. See, that's what I thought. I thought he also owned slaves. A lot of these guys were like, slavery's bad, and then owned hella slaves. But I'm not going to give up my slaves. I mean, Jesus. It's crazy. Andrew Jackson. Some people think Andrew Jackson is like one of the greatest presidents of all time. I'm going to put him in the F tier because Andrew Jackson, if you don't know, he was the Trail of Tears. Actually, we'll go D. He was the Trail of Tears guy. So he was the one that sent every Native American to travel out west. But he was cool as fuck in that he never declined a duel. He was hard as fuck in that regard. Why is John Adams at an F? Alien and Sedition Act. So maybe if I'm putting Trail of Tears, Andrew Jackson at D, I'll put John Adams up here. So anyways, he did duels. That was like his whole shit. He died with like 3 bullets in his body or something. And there was one time, this guy tried to assassinate Andrew Jackson. He pulled up on him with a gun. And then Andrew Jackson beat him almost to death with a cane. He was super fucking racist. Yeah, but by this era, he was only a tiny bit racist. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, if you account for everyone else at the time, he was only a little bit racist. He was awful, though. I mean, he did the Trail of Tears, sent Native Americans to fucking out west. Not a great guy. Adams, Fillmore, Pierce, Buchanan, and Lincoln were the only U.S. presidents to not own slaves. Well, that's crazy because they were all fucking dog. You know, okay, we'll get to this later. But you saying that, they were just huge. They all of those guys you just mentioned, except for Adams, they literally caused the Civil War. They caused the Civil War. We'll get to this later, but Fillmore, Pierce, Buchanan, those fuckers caused the Civil War. They would be like, they didn't own slaves, right? But they'd be like, guys, slavery is so bad. That's so fucked up. You guys are doing that. But they didn't do anything to stop slavery. So, actually, they did shit to exacerbate slavery. So, one of them, I think it was Franklin Pierce, it may have been James Buchanan, passed the, was it the Missouri Compromise? There were two things. It was the Nebraska-Kansas Act and the Missouri Compromise. So basically, they passed laws that said, this was crazy. This caused, so the Nebraska-Kansas Act was probably the last law passed that contributed to the Civil War. Because you had a slave state and a non-slave state, and they were right under each other, and they were like beefing the whole time. But there was an act passed, and the law was if you see a slave in a non-slave state, you can say that's an escaped slave and take them back to the South. So what happened was dudes would just see black guys and be like, he was a slave once. He was a slave, and the police wouldn't ask any questions. And the Fugitive Slaves Act, yes. And they just take them down south. So that was like a big fucking contributor. So basically, Millard Fillmore, Franklin Pierce, and James Buchanan were all like, oh man, slavery. Oh, guys, stop with the slavery. That's so fucked up. What? Oh, boy. Oh, you guys are really bad for doing that. And then actively passing laws that contributed to the Civil War. These guys all fucking sucked, and they all contributed to the Civil War. And then they gave it to Abraham Lincoln, and they were like, you deal with this. We're about to have a Civil War right now. When is SDMP? It's tomorrow. We're doing that. Yeah, we're doing that tomorrow. I don't know. SDMP 3 is back. William Henry Harrison, hilarious. We're putting William Harrison at S tier. The first president to die in office, I've talked about this many a time. William Henry Harrison was the president for 3 weeks or 2 weeks, something like that. And basically the whole country was like, what a fucking pussy. This guy's a big pussy. Oh man, what a pussy president we have, you big pussy. And he was like, I'm not a pussy. I'll show you guys I'm not a big pussy. And he was like, I'm going to give a speech in the middle of winter without a coat so you guys how badass I am. So then he gave this super long speech in the middle of winter without a coat and got pneumonia and died. And that was it. And that was how he fucking died. He was president for literally 3 weeks. And also the whole giving a speech without a coat thing, it didn't help at all. Everyone was still like, wow, what a pussy. I mean, why? And how weird he didn't wear a coat in winter. And apparently that's just a myth, and he didn't die of pneumonia. He died of drinking contaminated water, but it's way funnier to think that he died of pneumonia trying to prove he wasn't a pussy. And he actually was such a pussy that he died. His last words were something fucking stupid. I forget exactly. John Tyler just did nothing. Did absolutely nothing. James K. Polk. Okay, so James K. Polk, this guy right here, died of chronic diarrhea. Really typhoid, but he did die shitting. Crazy diarrhea, which I think is a symptom of typhoid, which is bacteria in your blood. He was an imperialist. He in his one term took both Texas and California from Mexico, the two biggest states in this country. So that's kind of crazy. He also did some good shit. I can't remember, but dying of poop is hilarious. So I'm putting him a B. Zachary Taylor, fucking F tier. He died so early into office. he died like just a little bit after William Henry Harrison. He died from the stomach flu. He died from the stomach flu. Like, at this point in time, you could just die from literally anything. Do you fuck with Pride Month? I'm kidding. I'm joking. I fuck with Pride Month heavy, boy. Where are you pulling your presidential knowledge from, LMAO? My brain. This is like my autistic hyperfixation. It interests me a lot. I don't know why. So I just know a lot about the presidents, and I don't have an outlet to talk about it. So this is it for me. And this might mean nothing to you guys. High school civics class? No. Because if you just go surface level with the presidents, you get a bunch of boring fucking bullshit. I want, like, the deep cuts, dude. I want the deep cuts. I want to know, did they have affairs? How did they die? Did they do anything crazy? Were they secretly gay? Which, James Buchanan, the only president to never get married or have kids. And he had a lot of love letters to a dude. And it'd be like, I can't wait to feel your sweet touch against my body. And no one knows that shit. Shit like that, to me, is so interesting. So we'll go ahead and skip to James Buchanan. Directly contributed to the Civil War, so I'm going to bring him down to the D tier. I would give him an F, but the gay thing, and it is Pride Month, so we'll put him up there. We'll put him ahead of John Adams. Millard Fillmore, F, again, contributed to the Civil War. All these guys did directly contribute to the Civil War. Millard Fillmore was, for some reason, they called him a dough face. No. Pierce, they call a dough face. I don't know why. Oh, yeah, you guys are playing Smash or Pass, if you'd like. Everyone says Pierce is one of the hotter presidents. This guy right here. But Pierce, really? I'm surprised at all the passes. Pierce, again, one of the guys directly contributed to the Civil War just by non-action, and the only action taken was exacerbating tensions between the Union and the Confederacy. So I can't remember which of these three passed the laws I mentioned earlier, but he was a drunk. He was fucked up all the time. Pierce he died of cirrhosis of the liver at like 50 because he lost, like, I think it was his wife and his daughter or something, and it was just depressed all of presidency. Died of cirrhosis of the liver at 50. Did nothing, was drunk the whole time, and through that inaction, the Civil War happened, and passed it to Buchanan, who pretty much was just like, hey, Abraham Lincoln, why don't you deal with the Civil War? So, oh my God, you know what I forgot to mention? James K. Polk. James K. Polk, where is he at? Died of crime. There he is, right there. So, in the Congress meeting, when James K. Polk was like, I think we should take Texas and California out of the grubby little Mexican hands of the Mexicans. We should slaughter them and take those two territories. Everyone is like, yeah, woo, woo. And then one young senator stood up and he was like, I don't think that's a great idea, actually. And that man was Abraham Lincoln. He's always been a pretty good guy. History Channel could never. I wish someone had explained history, because history is very interesting when you put it like this. When you put it in like a funny way, in layman's terms. Same thing with the Bible. The Bible's fucking hilarious. If you read about the Bible, if you hear about the Bible from someone like me. Abraham Lincoln, we're going S tier, obviously. Abraham Lincoln, got us through the Civil War. Obviously, he owned slaves and shit, but he was cool about it. Not cool. He abolished slavery. Okay. I don't actually think he owned slaves. I think I just made that up. If I do another Timu Hall thing, I'll be watching those on YouTube before I go to sleep. Okay, so that's crazy because I broke my elbow. I did it on Thursday. And on Thursday, I spent $15,000 and broke my elbow. So I think I'm good for a while. That makes no sense. He didn't own slaves. You're right. But I wouldn't be surprised if he, like, sneaky owned slaves. He was also pretty funny. There's, like, accounts of Abraham Lincoln being funny. Assassinated John Wilkes Booth, He was like laughing his ass off at like Hamlet or something, and then got shot by John Wilkes Booth, and died. And that's about it for Abraham Lincoln. Great president, though. A lot of the president's favorite president. Obama's favorite president. He was JFK's favorite president. He was many people's favorite president. Stuck to his guns throughout all of his life. Didn't he kill vampires or something? Yes, and he also killed vampires. Andrew Johnson, I don't know enough about Andrew Johnson. I think he was not good, if I remember correctly. Ulysses S. Grant, it was hot. This picture doesn't do him justice, but he was hot. That was like a lot of accounts of Ulysses S. Grant, is he was a hot guy. Like if you see colorized photos of Grant, he was a hot dude. Andrew Johnson got impeached? Did he get impeached? Wait a minute. Because I might remember that. Because if I see why he got impeached, I would remember. Yeah, I don't know. I actually did not know this. I think I knew at one point that he got impeached. I didn't really know why he got impeached, though. Interesting. But again, I don't know enough about him to make a judgment on him. This is where I start to lose the plot a bit. Like, Ulysses S. Grant, like I don't know enough about. I know he was a Union general. Again, though, I don't know enough about him. Rutherford B. Hayes, I'm giving him a C just on account of his beard. He was a beard guy. Do we not like the beard? James Garfield, don't know enough about James Garfield. Chester Arthur, don't know anything about him. This whole era is just gonna like, oop, we're farting our way through the presidency. I don't know enough about this guy. I mean, Grover Cleveland, the only president to get elected twice in non-consecutive terms until Trump dog, which is crazy. But I'll give him C just on account of that fact. Okay, so Benjamin Harrison or Hayes died in office. Benjamin Harrison, I believe, died in office. Can anyone fact check that for me? I think being a president is like one of the fucking most dangerous jobs you can have, by the way. Many of them either died in office or were assassinated or attempted, or an assassination attempt was made. I think it was Harrison. See, I think Harrison died in office from some stupid shit. He did die in office? God damn, I'm goated. Who knows about that shit? Oh my God. He was the first one to die in office? That is incorrect. Oh my God. Are you guys looking up William Henry Harrison? Classic rookie mistake. I mean Benjamin Harrison. Not William Henry Harrison. There's two Harrisons? Yes, but we have already talked about William Henry Harrison. We put him in the S tier. Oh, he didn't die in office. Okay, I'm thinking of someone else then. I just Googled it. All right, I don't know enough about this guy. William McKinley, assassinated. The second, I believe, president to be assassinated. What are we doing after this? We're watching some videos. Just watching some videos. Second president to be assassinated. I don't have anything too interesting about McKinley other than he died. He died fucking early too. He did jack shit. We're putting him low. We're putting him at D. He died early. He died like a year in, I'm pretty sure. He died like a year in. He was shot to death. You had to put him and Taylor at the same one then? Oh yeah, Zachary Taylor did. Well, no, Zachary Taylor died earlier than William McKinley, I'm pretty sure. I might be incorrect on that, but in that case, maybe I moved Zachary Taylor up. I think Taylor did less than McKinley, though. Are you reading their Wikipedia bios back to front? No, I've listened to so many podcasts about the presidents that I just know the shit off the top of my head. Now we're getting into some good fucking shit. We got through all the goddamn bullshit with these fucking losers, okay? Now we're getting into some fucking good shit. Oh, you're one of those? What, that listens to podcasts about the U.S. presidents? Oh, you're one of those archetypes? That's not really an archetype, I don't think. I don't think you can make that chat. So, Teddy Roosevelt, again, highly regarded as one of the best presidents. many presidents' favorite president. So many goddamn funny stories with Teddy Roosevelt. So a lot of people don't know this. Teddy Roosevelt there's a picture of him when he was 19 and he's shirtless and he's like jacked as fuck. Look it up. Look up shirtless Teddy Roosevelt. He was a hot guy. Yeah, I'm seeing a lot of smashes here. He was a hot dude. He was a jacked fucking... Actually, funny enough, Truman was pretty jacked. You can find pictures of jacked Truman, which was surprising. But Teddy Roosevelt, super autistic, super ADHD. The means to treat that didn't really exist yet. Bunch of shit about Teddy Roosevelt. First of all, he was blind in one eye. A lot of people don't know this because for some reason he thought that the president should be like the strongest person in the country. So he would bare knuckle box the heavyweight boxing champion, whoever it was at the time, in the Oval Office. So he would bare knuckle box whoever the champion, the current champ was, in the Oval Office. He would push all the furniture back, and then he would try and fight this guy. And then he got like knocked out once and got hit so hard that he lost vision in one of his eyes. I can't remember which one. Got shot in the chest. I feel like a lot of people know about this one. Yeah, he had his speech booklet in his breast pocket. He got shot at like point blank range in the chest. It went into his body, but because of the little booklet that was so thick, he didn't die. And then he gave like an hour-long speech. He got shot in the chest, and he was like, fuck you, pussy, and then just gave his whole speech. He got shot at the beginning of the speech, you know? His speech was so long it saved his life. Really? Well, I guess because, the bullet's lodged in there, so he's not losing blood. But it was hard as fuck. It was the coolest shit ever. Teddy bear. Teddy bear, that phrase came from Theodore Roosevelt, and it was because this shit was crazy. Teddy Roosevelt loved to hunt. He was a big hunter, and he hunted bears. He hunted bears and moose, and they called him the bull moose. He hunted bears and moose and all this kinds of shit. And the reason they call it teddy bear, I forget what city he was visiting, but he visited a city one time, and the townsfolk knew that he liked hunting bears. So they just got a bear and they chained it up, and they were like, hey, we got a bear for you to kill. Shoot this bear. And Teddy Roosevelt was like crying because they just had this poor bear, like it wasn't in the wild. He was just like, this is inhumane. I can't believe you got this bear. And he was like, I refuse to shoot the bear. And then that made headlines, and they called him Teddy Bear, and then they made merch out of it, which is why they called them teddy bears. Is that shit not crazy? Come on. Nick Dog, thank you for the tier 1 sub. Made up story, look it up. That's real. So great president, funny president. Trying to think if there's anything else with him. After his presidency, he went on some like crazy excursion in like the Amazon rainforest or something and lost a ton of weight and almost died, made it back, and he beat some illness and then just died in his sleep. Maybe it was cancer. Just like my grandma. My grandma beat ovarian cancer and then died in her sleep after we had a whole party for her beating cancer, and then she died in her sleep. He beat some illness, and then his last words were like him talking to his servant to turn the lights off, and then just died in his sleep. We're going S tier. Oh my God, I just realized I've been putting these guys in the didn't live long enough to judge tier, not the unsure tier. I'll put him under Lincoln. Kennedy had a great presidency. Some would say it was mind-blowing. I'm pretty sure I saw that exact same chat earlier. But yes, he did get his head blown off. Taft, everyone knows Taft. He's the fattest president. A lot of people don't know this, though. Taft got skinny. Taft hit the Ozempic button, brother man. Taft got skinny. He died skinny. But he was so fat that him being skinny couldn't undo the damage he had caused to his heart. So he died of heart failure. But he did get really skinny. And he lived up until he worked up until he died. He was the Supreme Court Justice. Actually, the only president to ever be appointed Supreme Court Justice. He worked in politics, which is rare for presidents after they served their term. So yeah, he did have a glow up. Also, the hardest fucking fits of any president. Hold on. Even when he was fat, he had hard ass fits. But when he got skinny, it looked especially good because he wasn't fucking fat. I'm kidding. I'm not kidding. But look at this shit, bruh. Yeah. Let me try and find a skinny. That was him. Chief Justice William Howard Taft. See? Some of you guys might think I'm talking out of my asshole. God, I'm good. He got skinny. I don't know where the skinny pictures are. I could buy this pic for $15. Oh, look at that. Look at that. Told you. Look, he got skinny. See? And he always had that dope-ass mustache. Now, he did pass some bill that sucked. That was either racist or something. Fuck. Oh, shit, dude. We may have passed this already, but there was a president that passed a bill that was like, specifically Chinese people are not allowed. I remember who it is. Oh, I remember. We're not there yet. Specifically Chinese people are not allowed in the country, is what they said. Only like Eastern Europe folk. I'm going Taft A, dude. And I only put these guys up here because I can't remember which one saw 8 presidents. So, Chinese Exclusion Act, correct. It's very aptly named. Woodrow Wilson, F tier. Highly regarded as one of the worst presidents in American history. I cannot exactly remember why. Oh, yeah. So these guys, why is he one of the worst? He had polio also. He had a stroke that almost killed him, and then he couldn't move his body for like half. No, it wasn't Prohibition. I mean, Prohibition, yes, but it was something else. Wait a minute. Racial segregation. That's what it was. I think that's what it was. I might be wrong here, but it was he pretty much passed some kind of like civil acts law that fucked black people, that made them pretty much slaves again, if I remember correctly. Woodrow Wilson passed some kind of, it was literally called like the Civil Rights Act of something. And it was like super fucked up. And I forget exactly the details. Yeah, not a great president, had polio. Warren Harding, also shitty fucking president. Did nothing. Chinese Exclusion Act, or maybe not Chinese exclusion, but I know for a fact he had an act that was like, we only take immigrants from this specific part of Europe. That is Warren Harding. But the funny thing about Warren Harding is his whole presidency, he was like, oh man, I don't deserve to be the president. Oh, I'm just too fucking stupid to be the president. He was like a pick-me, dude. He talked about it all the fucking time. He was like, oh man, I'm not good enough to be the president. I suck. I'm the worst in the world. Everyone hates me. Chinese Exclusion Act was Chester A. Arthur. Okay, but he did have, I know for a fact Warren Harding had specifically this part of Europe will take those immigrants and no one else. So that was Warren Harding. He was like, no, I should just fucking kill myself. I suck. I'm not a good president. I should just die. I should just fucking die because I'm not even a good president. So he went to California and he took a train ride while he was like on like some kind of, I don't know, he was touring for something. And he was like, I just fucking kill myself. I'm the worst president in the world. And he ate like expired lobster so that he would die. And he got a really bad stomach. Like he did die from the expired food. And he got food poisoning and died. And a funny detail that I learned today about Warren Harding is when he was on his deathbed, he had his wife read. There was an article written about him that had published in the papers that day. And it was like, the article was like, Warren G. Harding is awesome and the best. And it was like this article that was just really stroking his ego and hyping him up. And he was like, please read the article. And she's reading him this article. And he's like, awesome. That's so good. His last words were like, keep going. That's such a good read. Or something like that. You can look it up. That's like his last words were him talking about how awesome the article written about him was. And then he fucking died. And he died right there. He was like, wow, that's so good. And then died. But yeah, he literally never shut up about he was never fit to be president. And he was so gay and stupid. Like Calvin Coolidge, I'm putting it B. I'll put him above James K. Polk. Calvin Coolidge is a president that I did not know a lot about. But the more I learn about him, I might even put him at A, actually. The more I learn about him, the better he gets. He was actually, we're going A. We're going A. We're going to do this. Calvin Coolidge, he's low-key fine. Look up a colorized picture of Calvin Coolidge. He was not attractive. But he had a very, like, transatlantic and southern accent. He was like, and we'll tell the people that when we go to the thing, and then I told everyone that maybe I'll do the... Like, that's how he talked. And you heard it earlier in the stream. And this is the start of the Great Depression, so not great. But the real perpetrator with the Great Depression was Herbert Hoover. We'll talk about him in a second. Yeah, for real, he sounded like Squidward. That's a great analogy. He sounded just like Squidward. So that was Calvin Coolidge. The good thing about Calvin Coolidge is he was the only president that gave a fuck about the Native Americans. He passed the bill that made Native Americans U.S. citizens. There's a picture of Calvin Coolidge in a headdress. I believe they called him like the Flying Eagle or the Brave Eagle or something. He was officially joined whatever tribe it was. I forget exactly what it was. I might put him at B on account of the Great Depression. But the Native American thing rocked, and he was officially a member. And they called him something. It was like Flying Eagle, Brave Eagle, or something Eagle. And it was him he had a headdress on. Let me try and find it. You know too much. Dude, I'm telling you guys, this and joint reconstruction surgery, just useless facts. It was Eisenhower that was spicy, dude. No, you're talking about Jimmy Carter, I think. And he had, there's a picture of him with like an African leader or something. And he's like, this is like before anyone did this shit. So he's like posted up like this with this dude in this like African garb. It's a fucking awesome picture. I'll show you guys later. Okay, look, there's a million fucking... Look at Calvin Coolidge. Look at him. Hell yeah. This is like the 1920s or something. This is when the Great Depression started. I'm pretty sure my great-grandma was alive when Calvin Coolidge was the president. Look at this. Yo. Hard as fuck. But also the Great Depression. So, you know. Hold on. I swear to God, it's Leading Eagle. What did I tell you, bro? They called him the Leading Eagle. Come on. God damn. At least he didn't own slaves. This was almost 1930. This was literally almost 1930. Slavery was abolished during Lincoln's presidency. Herbert Hoover, I'm going to put it D just because he made a lot of people say Herbert Hoover did nothing to stop the Great Depression. And for those of you that don't know anything, Herbert Hoover, for those of you that don't know, the Great Depression is the economy like completely collapsed and no one had money, everyone lost their jobs, yada, yada, yada. You know that shit. But a lot of people think he just didn't do anything. And then, oh man, he didn't stop. But he did. He passed a bunch of shit to try and stop the Great Depression and then actively made it worse. Here's the thing. Here's the thing that pisses me off about Donald Trump currently. Throughout all of presidential history, tariffs have fucked the economy. Throughout all of the history of presidency, tariffs have fucked the economy, with one exception, and it might be William McKinley. I cannot remember. There's one exception. I think it's William McKinley, but throughout of the history of U.S. presidency, tariffs have absolutely fucked the economy. So, is it William McKinley? There was one president that enacted tariffs and the economy was really good, and they regard him as a good president. But for the most part, tariffs fucked the economy in the asshole. William was the king of tariffs. Fuck, I am too goddamn good. So I was right. It is William McKinley. I believe, and this might be incorrect, William McKinley, shitload of tariffs, but the economy was good, which is why I put him at D tier. But he did die. He was killed. He was super killed. K-pop something. Thank you for the prime sub. Is this a delayed stream? I don't know what that means. What do you mean? Is it a delayed stream in what regard? The chat's delayed maybe like 30 seconds. I feel like there was no actual good presidents. No, that's wrong. There were plenty of good presidents, such as Franklin D. Roosevelt, S tier president. Got us through World War II. Honestly, I do not know much about FDR, but everyone says he's like the best president. And yeah, and he served 4 terms, which is why everyone thought he was awesome. Everyone thought he was the best. I would like to do this segment hammered. I think that would be hilarious, but I can't drink on my medicine. But soon. He killed pigs? What does that mean? Served 3 full terms, died in the 4th. He died of some fuck shit. He looked like the chocolate grandma on from SpongeBob during his last days. Hey, hamstring, would you rather have Megan Thee Stallion or an average Arby's employee run the country? I'm going to go Megan Thee Stallion. You know, she has more experience in front of crowds. I feel like she'd be better. I mean, if you're working at Arby's, your life is over. So I think she would be better fit. I saw her live once, actually. Huge butt. God, huge butt. It's real. It's right there. Yeah, he looked like this. This is not the picture I was looking for, but he looked like a dead guy. There's the pic. Yeah, this one. How did he die? Maya for president, thank you for the prime sub. What? I forgot about the internment of Japanese Americans. He's still ranking them. I got a lot of facts about every president. Truman, you guys can be the judge of this one. Truman dropped the, he dropped the atomic bomb on Hiroshima. But people love Truman for some reason. I don't know enough about Truman. He sounds annoying. But he is kind of jacked, though. So you guys are saying pass, but you would fuck him. Look up shirtless Truman. What a boring topic, bro is chopped. You're a fucking idiot. You are an absolute fucking idiot. Look at that. So if you even dive a little bit deeper than surface level into the U.S. presidents, it's actually hilarious. Lyndon B. Johnson would show his penis to everyone. One time, a reporter went to the Oval Office and they said, "Hello, Lyndon B. Johnson. Why have you not pulled the troops out of Vietnam? People are fucking dying. Every day, thousands of people die." Lyndon B. Johnson pulled his penis out of his pants and laid it on the desk in front of the reporters and said, "That's why. That's why." If that shit is not fucking hilarious for the President of the United States to do, I don't know what is. What do you want to watch Jinxie fucking play Rainbow Six Siege for the millionth time? Huh? Is that what you want, bitch? You want me to spend $15,000 more on Timu, you goddamn idiot? That's hilarious. That's fucking hilarious. Lyndon B. Johnson would drink and drive because he knew the Secret Service wouldn't let him die. That's hilarious. Was it big? It was huge. It was huge. He had a giant penis. Lyndon B. Johnson had a huge penis. He called it jumbo. He showed it to everybody. Man, woman, kid, adult. He showed everyone his penis. In the White House, he liked to take meetings on the shit. Sometimes, if you were talking to Lyndon B. Johnson and you were in the bathroom, he would walk backwards and he would take a shit while talking to you. He loved doing it. It was his favorite thing. He had a phone installed in the White House bathroom so that he could take meetings while shitting. He spent most of his time in the bathroom because he wanted people to come into the bathroom so that he could pee on them and show them his penis. If that's boring, I mean, I don't know what to tell you. You goddamn idiot. Oh my God. And probably that was just rage bait that I fell for, but I'm doing something that interests me. And for you to come in here and be like, bro, it's fucked, dude. He's ranking the president. What the fuck? That's you gagging on cock. Unless you're gay, in which case that's something you would enjoy. This is American history, brother. This shit's real. Anyways, yeah, Harry Truman, he was the atomic bomb guy. Didn't feel bad about it at all. I mean, whatever. People like him. I'll put him at C. Maybe higher but the atomic bomb, not great. Eisenhower, I don't know enough about. People don't like Eisenhower, though, for some reason. Can we listen to the phone call? Are you talking about the Lyndon B. Johnson phone call? Is that what you're talking about? There's actually 2 recorded phone calls. You can only find one on the internet. Hold on. I'll save this for Lyndon B. Johnson. We're almost there. See, that's what happens. You fuck around and make fun of my hyperfixation. I'm killing you with guns. All right? I'm going on a full tirade about Lyndon B. Johnson's penis. LBJ. He loved his acronym. Whatever. We'll get to LBJ later. John F. Kennedy, S tier, obviously, great president, fantastic president, was fucking super shot in the head, though. Super shot in the head by probably the CIA. The guy that shot him was also shot. Smash. See, he was pretty ugly when he was older in presidency, but he was a hot young guy, and also comparatively to all these old fucks, he's a good-looking dude. Prolific womanizer, prolific banging supermodels, not at all faithful to his wife, but she did have a bit of a dog mouth. Jackie Kennedy, she looked like she could eat metal. Fucked Marilyn Monroe, fucked a bunch of gals, fucked so many gals, fucked so many women, fucked hot, super. You can look up the list of women he's fucked in the Oval Office. He fucked like an intern one time that was super hot in the White House. He just fucked all the time. He fucked left, right, center, and came all over the Oval Office desk. He was nutting in bitches and nutting on documents. Like, he was super cheating on his wife all the time, coming all over the White House. And what's funny is Bill Clinton did the same thing. He had that same level of charisma. But at this time, during John F. Kennedy's time, people beat their wives. And it's that's just the kind of thing you don't talk about in the press. You don't talk about in the press you cheating on your wife or beating your wife or whatever. But during Bill Clinton's time, it was kind of okay, maybe this is a big scandal now. And also, John F. Kennedy was fucking shot, super shot in the head, and his head exploded. So that kind of took priority. And then people found out later about Marilyn Monroe and all the other affairs he had. And they were like, yeah, that's kind of awesome. But really, they just did the same thing. And Bill Clinton got a lot of shit. When really, it was just the times. But yeah, Kennedy was a great president. So then that leads me to Lyndon B. Johnson, which I have a lot of fun facts about Lyndon B. Johnson, and I'm gonna take a moment to pee. I hope you guys enjoy this. This really is like something that greatly interests me, as you can tell. And I never get to talk about it. There's like the only there's no person I know that would just let me sit and talk about this. So I hope you guys are enjoying it. I thought about this morning. I was like, what if I did this on stream? Because I was going to do a reaction stream tonight. And you can use all this. What's funny is like, so much of this is probably slightly inaccurate because I hear a podcast that's a retelling of a book that's written about a movie. Like it's like Human Centipede all the way down. So much of it is probably slightly inaccurate, but it almost makes it funnier because it's like this game of telephone. But so far, I've been hitting my beats. Speaking of beat, I want to shout out this guy. His videos do fucking better than mine, so there's no point in even shouting him out. But this guy, along with my favorite comedian ever, Louis C.K., he's also really into the presidents, and maybe that's where this comes from. He had a podcast with Shane Gillis. They talk about the presidents.
What's forgotten?
This guy has great fucking videos about the presidents. Mr. Beat. Yeah, okay, yeah, he fucks my ass in terms of performance, but this guy rocks. This guy rocks cocks. I watched this video, the Korean War. I watched like all his videos. He's got really good, interesting videos. Shit, like what was their favorite meal? What was every president's favorite meal? Just random shit like that. I don't know if he came before Mr. Beast or if he just like stole his. You aren't subbed? No, I have a separate YouTube channel that I like actually watch on my phone. I've got a secret burner. Anyways, I'm gonna pee and then we'll get into LBJ. So, sometimes I get a little burpy. LBJ took massive girth. He did. So Lyndon B. Johnson took presidency because Lincoln was assassinated. So he was Lincoln's vice president and wasted no fucking time. That is one of the funniest things about his presidency is Lincoln got assassinated, and then within Kennedy. I was looking at the S tier, not Lincoln. Lyndon B. Johnson was not Abraham Lincoln's vice president. John F. Kennedy got his head blown into a million pieces, and then, his wife, Jackie, was trying to hold his brain back in his head so that maybe he could survive, but he was super dead. And Lyndon B. Johnson wasted literally no time. He immediately got on Air Force One, the only president to be signed into office on an airplane because he wasted literally no fucking time. He was there. There's some conspiracy theories that he had something to do with Kennedy's death because there's a clip of him like winking at one of the guys and like laughing, but I don't think that really had. There's no legs to that theory really. Jackie Kennedy was on Air Force One as well, covered in blood. So there's a picture of Lyndon B. Johnson getting sworn in, and Jackie Kennedy is covered in blood because she wanted to show people that I guess her husband got super shot in the fucking head. And he had a huge penis. Lyndon B. Johnson, he had a big penis. And he called it Jumbo. That was his nickname for his penis. Now, Lyndon B. Johnson, pretty good president, not a great guy. He falls into the category of people that he was a good president, not a good person, showed his penis to anyone who was around. If you were next to Lyndon B. Johnson, you were going to see his penis. That was his MO. That's what he did. He showed his penis. Actually, maybe he wasn't a great president. He fucked up the whole Vietnam War. He kept troops in Vietnam, which was already kind of a pointless war to begin with. Many people died, and his response to keeping the troops in the Vietnam War was to show his penis. I already talked about that, but the funniest story about LBJ is reporters came to the Oval Office. This is real. You can look this up. Reporters came to the Oval Office, and they said, Mr. Johnson, why Why are you keeping troops in Vietnam? People are dying every day. Many people die. Why don't you pull them out and take them home? And he stood up and he whipped his penis out and he laid it on the Oval Office desk and he said, "That's why." As if that's like a great explanation. You already said this? Which is why I prefaced the story by saying I mentioned this earlier. You fucking idiot. I also didn't do the whole demonstration. But yeah, that's hilarious. That made me laugh so hard the first time I heard it. He had a huge penis though. It was really long and big when it was flaccid. That's why he whipped it out all the time. And again, he called it jumbo. And he, I'm not going to show you his penis. You could probably find it. You could probably find his penis. But again, he would take calls in the. He had a phone installed in the White House bathroom so that he loved to shit and work, and he loved to shit while talking to people, and he loved to pee on people, and he loved to whip his penis out. So he liked to be in the bathroom so he could do all three of those things. And I will play the phone call. There is a phone call that, again, we talked about earlier. Now, that person that chatted, if you're like, you already talked about the phone call earlier, that's why I'm prefacing this story by saying I mentioned the phone call earlier. There's a phone call that's recorded of him that we can play right now, and it's him talking about how big his balls are, and he needs to have pants that have like extra inches in the crotch area because his balls are so big, and if he wears regular pants, it hurts his balls. And the guy on the phone is just like, "All right, Mr. President," which is hilarious because everyone had to just deal with it because he was the fucking president. Like, he would whip his penis out and be like, "Check this shit out," and they'd be like, "Wow, that's great, Mr. President. That's awesome," you know? Oh my God, hold on. Let me find it. And before I pull this up, there's another phone call that's very funny. So Jackie Kennedy, the wife of John F. Kennedy, widowed wife because he got his head blown into a million pieces. And so she's widowed. LBJ always had a thing for Jackie Kennedy. And there is a recording that I can't find anywhere online, but he would get hammered at night. Like I talked about earlier, he knew he had the Secret Service, so he would get hammered and he would drive his car. He would just drink a bunch of beers and he would drive around. He was married, yes. And but he had a huge thing for Jackie Kennedy. And again, during this time, no one cared if you cheated on your wife. That was like not press at all. It didn't matter until Bill Clinton's time, which is why the Monica Lewinsky thing was like a big deal. He would get hammered, drive his car, seemingly run over people, and then the Secret Service would like kind of brush it under the rug or whatever. So there's a particular night that he got hammered and he like booty called Jackie Kennedy. And he like drunk dialed her from the Oval Office phone. He's shit-housed in the White House. He's shit-faced in the White House. And he was like, "Jackie, I love you. I just want you to know that I love you, Jackie Kennedy." And she's like, "Oh, that's great, Mr. President. That's really good, Lyndon." Yeah. So funny. So funny to use the fucking White House phone to drunk dial Jackie Kennedy. And again, everyone just had to be like, "That's great, Mr. President," to like all of his antics. All right, let me find the pants phone call. Which president got stuck in the bathtub? That was Taft, which is why he... what is that?
Say, well, you can't have a poll tax. They can say you can't have a gas tax or cigarette tax or anything else. Federal government's telling the states...
This is not the phone call.
Pretty tough what their business is. Now, you can say that they can't discriminate, but I've got to prove that it discriminates. Now, I can't prove it in Texas. There are more niggers voting.
Deep South guy. Racist, obviously. Lyndon B. Johnson. That was Lyndon B. Johnson. Not the phone call I was trying to find.
It's kind of a light brown.
Here we go. Here's the pants
Just
clip.
made up on his own, sent to me 3 or 4 months ago. It's a kind of a light brown and a light green, rather soft green and soft brown. Now I need about 6 pairs for summer wear. I need about 6 pairs to wear around in the evening when I come in from work. And I can send you a pair. I want them a half-inch.
He's just tiptoeing around what he really wants to say. LBJ was like a huge narcissist. That's why he felt like a sense of power by showing his penis around. He felt the sense of power from being the president. It did not help that he won his presidencies by a fucking landslide. Or actually just won. He won because he just got presidency from Kennedy. But his re-election he won by a goddamn landslide. And he spent his first presidency showing his penis to everybody. So he was like, holy shit, I can just show my penis to everyone and be the president and everyone loves me. Why does his chin have a ball sack? That's true to life. He had a fucking saggy, droopy. He also loved cigarettes. That's why he died. He ripped cigarettes all the time and died of like lung cancer or something.
Inch larger in the waist than they were before, except I want 2 or 3 inches of stuff left back in there so I can take them up. I vary 10 to 15 pounds a month. So leave me at least 2.5, 3 inches in the back where I can let them out or take them up, and make these a half-inch bigger in the waist. Make the pockets at least an inch longer. My money and my because they cut me. They just give on where your nuts hang. Hello? Another thing, the crotch down where your nuts hang is always a little too tight. So when you make them up, give me an inch that I can let out there because they cut me. They're just like riding a wire fence. These are the best that I've had anywhere in the United States. But when I gain a little...
The dude is just like, all right, yep, got it.
Wait, they cut me under there. So
it's like, no, wait a minute. They cut my nuts, so we need to extend the pants. I just want to make sure you understand.
Leave me, you never do have much margin there. Let's see if you can't leave me about an inch from where the zipper ends, round under my, back to my bunghole.
All right, then.
So I can let it out there if I need to. Now, be sure you got the best zippers
All right, Mr. President, your bunghole?
in them. These are good that I have. And
That's basically it. That's God almighty. So I don't know to rank LBJ because that's fucking hilarious. But also he did show his penis to literally everyone. I'm going A tier. Why is this honing on for so long? Because he wanted it to. Because he wanted to talk about his penis for like forever to this guy. Why most of our presidents just nasty old men? Well, that's every president. There hasn't been a woman president. And there won't be. Ever. I'm kidding. There probably will be. I don't know if it's going to be in my lifetime, but that's most people. I mean, if you go, this time, even preceding this time, it's like these guys all owned slaves, most of the black and white picture guys. And then when you go into these dudes, or shit, like these dudes, or these... Dude, it's like all fucking, it was that era of no one cared about women at all. So like, no one was really, actually, there were a lot of presidents that were progressive and had progressive views. Like, for example, Gerald Ford down here, he is the only Republican in the history of candidates, really, that was outwardly supportive of gay marriage, like during this era. And a lot of these guys are like that. A lot of these guys were supportive of, liberal views, especially like socially or whatever. But they would sooner die than put that in their campaign. You know what I'm saying? Like, even all the early dudes being like, oh, shit, slavery's bad, but then owning slaves and then being pro-slavery. You know what I'm saying? Because it hurt their campaign. Because that was the state of the country at the time. Like, if you were to say you were anti-slavery, it would be detrimental to your campaign during like the early years, which is crazy to think about, but that was the case. So like even George Washington was like, I don't think the slavery thing is that great, but didn't have a stance on it because why is George Washington so high? I mean, highly regarded as the best president by most of the presidents. So, also the first president. I mean, come on. People wanted him to be the king because he was so awesome. Richard Nixon, I'm conflicted on Richard Nixon. Richard Nixon, not a great guy. Watergate scandal, obviously. But for me, there is something so endearing about Richard Nixon. I don't know why. Watergate was bad. He was a pathological liar. He literally was like, I'm not a crook. Me, not a crook. He is a crook. He's totally a crook. But it's something so, he was just such a sad fucking guy. It's like almost endearing. He was such a sad dude. You never saw him smile, ever. There's very few pictures of Nixon smiling. So when you do see a picture of Nixon smile, you're like, damn. This is like the one moment. He was happy. Just got here. Where's my boy Andrew Jackson, King of Duels? He's in the D tier. I bumped him up on account of the duels because that shit's awesome. And also beating that guy to death with his cane that tried to assassinate him. Hilarious. But also, the Trail of Tears. Ooh, the Trail of Tears and killing a bunch of Native Americans. No, that's not that great. It's kind of not that good of a thing. But I could bump him up to the C tier. But, he did kill a lot of Native Americans. I don't know. I don't know what to do with Nixon. I'll put him in the C tier. We'll put him at the end of the C tier. A dog shit president. Just not a good president at all. Did nothing. Did so much nothing. Did bad, actually. But like I look at Nixon like I look like a dog with 3 legs, or a dog that's missing an eye, or any dog in a Sarah McLachlan commercial. Like it just makes me sad to look at Nixon. Like when he did that State of the Union address where he came clean about, being a monster. It made me feel sad. I've watched that video many a time. And he was hanging out with these guys. He was hanging out with Carter and Reagan and H.W. Bush. There's pictures of all them hanging out. You're like, fuck, maybe he's cool. Wait a minute. We're still in the Vietnam War. I completely forgot about that. I might take him to a D. The Vietnam War lasted for goddamn forever. That shit lasted forever, and it was pointless. It was so fucking pointless. And also, every picture I see of the Vietnam War, people are like drinking or smoking, or like they're with like cats and dogs. I'm like, what did you guys do? Other than just go out to Vietnam and be like, just get fucking hammered and like blow Viets up and stuff. Such a pointless fucking war, which was not even a war. The last official war that the U.S. declared, the official declaration of war was World War II. That was the last declaration of war. The Afghan war didn't count. The Iraqi war didn't count. The Vietnam War doesn't count. None of that counts. The last official declaration of war was, and we'll get to Bush in a second. I have a bunch of qualms with Bush. He's not going to give Trump enough credit. Already see it coming. I don't fucking know, dude. This recent term, I'll send you a PDF of my fucking 401k, and you can make a decision based on if he's had a good presidency or not. But also, recent guys are there's not enough time that has passed to accurately rank them based on, legacy or what have you. I can go off of my experience, but Gerald Ford, endearing, I'll put him at C. Not a great president. riddled with CTE. Look up Gerald Ford. He was hot. Gerald Ford was a pro athlete. He was a pro athlete, or maybe a collegiate athlete. He was a really hot guy. Look up young Gerald Ford. He was a hot dude, but he played football before pads existed. So he was fucking dumb as shit. LBJ actually has a quote about Gerald Ford, and he says, Jerry Ford is so dumb that he can't chew gum and fart at the same time. So just a dumb guy. And yeah, he played football without pads, CTE riddled, and he got it. Oh, fuck. So he only got presidency because Nixon was impeached. But as you guys know, impeachment does not mean that you step down from presidency. It's honestly, impeachment is mainly just kind of like, more so just like losing aura points. You lose aura points, and it's like, damn, you got impeached. People hate you, bro. And so Nixon stepped down. Same thing, like Donald Trump got impeached. He wasn't not the president. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, Jerry Ford. Donald Trump is actually not a convicted felon. That's another bit of misinformation that kind of is thrown around on the internet a bunch. But I often don't say that because it makes me seem like a Trumpy or whatever. No, he's not. He's not a convicted felon. He's not. He's not convicted. But he certainly was impeached. And he certainly... You can look it up. I'm not going to go into the details of the... No, he definitely is not. You can have to look it up. There was a period of time where, whatever. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Jimmy Carter just recently died, which is hilarious. I think you guys have a misunderstanding of the definition of convicted felon. I think that's where we're misaligned here. Jimmy Carter, people say that he was not a great president, but he was a good guy. I don't know anything about Jimmy Carter, really. I'm going to put him at the top of C tier just because he just died. Actually, we'll go B tier. Sure, fuck it. Who cares? Who cares? And he was so young, too, when he died. That's what's sad. I just asked ChatGPT. It said he was a convicted felon. Well, that's a robot. But anyways, Jimmy Carter died at 100. So young. Too young to die, is what I think. He was actually in pretty good health until, like, the past couple of years. I mean, as good of health you could be in when you're 90-something. Ooh. But he was hanging out, like, when the presidents do shit, they all invite the other presidents. So it'd be like Obama, H.W. Bush, Clinton, Bush, and they would be hanging out, and then Carter would look like a dead guy. But for real, I don't know anything about Jimmy Carter. Wait a second. Who did the war on drugs? It wasn't Reagan. I know it wasn't Reagan. It was Nixon. See, you guys are incorrect. I knew it wasn't Reagan. Many people think it was Reagan. Another common misconception. Many people think it was Reagan. It was not Reagan. The official war on drugs was Nixon. So honestly, I might even bring him down a tier. I did say he was endearing. I'll put him at D. So the war on drugs did fucking nothing for the drugs won. The war on drugs. The war on drugs pretty much, it criminalized the use of drugs. But it mainly targeted black people and, got them in jail a bunch. So that was the war on... but also the war on drugs did fucking jack shit to stop drugs because drugs are going to happen. That's just going to happen. Drugs are going to happen. If you have a war on drugs, people are just going to have illegal drugs. You know what I'm saying? Which they were kind of decriminalized for a while. First time chat, do you know Joe IRL? Yes, I do. We have met IRL a couple times. Actually, I think just once at TwitchCon. But I was supposed to come over to New Jersey, which I'm still planning to. We got an IRL stream cooking up. Yeah, war on drugs fucking sucked. The drugs won. Stupid. We're still suffering from that to this day. And also heavily targeted minorities. And fucked a lot of minorities. Reagan, it's tough to say. I don't know. People either love Reagan or hate Reagan. I don't know. Oh, wait. Hold on. There's something racist. Hold on. Something racist. Something racist. There was a law that was racist. What was the racist law? Reagan was racist AF. See, again, maybe behind closed doors, but there's so many accounts of, so when he sabotaged black people and racist, I feel like I don't know enough about this, but if you're talking about the war on drugs and like crack on the streets or whatever, people associate that with Reagan, but that was mainly Nixon. But I think there is some kind of racist law or policy, if I'm remembering correctly, but I can't quite remember. But I think he at least tried to present as not racist, because what Reagan would do is, you know, the KKK was big during that era in the 80s, and they would like burn crosses in black people's homes. And he would show up to their homes and like make sure they're all good and like, you know, help them out and stuff. So I maybe that was just like a saving face sort of thing. But I know for a fact that's what Reagan did. Yeah, performative. But also Reagan, people either love or hate Reagan. I don't know enough about his policies to accurately rate him on his presidency. But I do know, was he pro-KKK? There's zero chance a presidential candidate was pro-KKK on account of what I just said. But he was a very charismatic and funny guy. And whether you loved him or hated him, he talked as if he was like very sure of himself and very confident and very funny. And that's why he won the presidency. I know you're going to say no, but you could watch clips of it, and if let's say you didn't know of Reagan's existence, you would think that he was a charismatic and funny guy. He won presidency twice. Don't try and make the argument that, no, he wasn't those things. He was those things. He may have also been a racist, but you can't possibly win the argument that he wasn't charismatic and win people over because he won the presidency 2 times, and people love Reagan. But I don't know enough about... There was some law that was fucked up that he passed. The Tax Reform Act, which was good. And he helped out 3 million illegal immigrants? There was something. I can't remember. I can't remember to save my life. Reagan was shot at some point, later at a rally, balloon popped and said missed. Another common misconception. No, you're right. Just kidding. I was like, that was Bush. Yes. Dude, that's what I'm saying, is his speech clips are so goddamn good. I don't know enough about his politics. I'll take him down a tier on account of the potential fucked up shit that exists. But yeah, he got assassinated, attempted assassination. He survived, and then he went to Germany. He was in Germany, and they were like, don't jerk. And everyone said, don't jerk off the Germans. No, everyone said, don't joke around with the Germans, because he was prolific for joking around. Don't jerk off during the speech. They said, don't joke around with the Germans. And a balloon popped, and he said, like, miss me. And it was a W clip. He was clip farming before clip farming was even a thing. It was great. Very funny, very charismatic. Dementia like fuck, you know. Loved jelly beans. Great guy. Maybe not, again, I don't know enough about his presidency, but goddamn was he funny. Probably the funniest president. Hold on. I'm remembering something. Talking about Reagan getting assassinated. Holy shit. Dude, hold on. Where's he at, bruh? Where is he at, bruh? There he is, James Garfield. I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to put him in D just because I feel bad for him. James Garfield. I knew I was missing somebody. All right. James Garfield was assassinated, as well as William McKinley. James Garfield had a totally preventable death. Okay. So James Garfield was shot, and 2 months later, he fucking died. He was shot, and this is before doctors understood the concept of washing your hands. So they just dug in his bullet hole with dirty ass hands and gave him a crazy infection. And he suffered a long, slow, painful death. And his last words were like, please fucking kill me. Or something like that. His last words were something along those lines, like, please fucking kill me right now. Because he suffered such a long and slow and painful death on account of the infection. I knew I was missing somebody. Yeah. I'm putting Reagan at B, I think. George H.W. Bush, I don't know enough about him. I'm also putting him at B. I feel like people really like H.W. Bush. Maybe C. This could be recency bias. The L. Bush, people much prefer Papa Bush to Bill Clinton. Good presidency. Yeah, I mean, I love Bush in every regard, you know. I like Bush, you know, if we're talking about pubes and then both of the presidents. Again, this list is super fucky because I'm basing it off of their vibe and also sort of their presidency. Bill Clinton was a good president, if I remember correctly. But again, much like Kennedy, prolific cheater on his wife, had many affairs. Monica Lewinsky, the whole thing. Hilarious, though. He went out and had a whole press conference, and he was like, I did not fuck that lady at all. You guys are crazy. And then 2 days later, he was like, so I did. I totally did. But, you know, I did fuck her. And Hillary Clinton just was like, sure, that's fine, I guess. She had some, oh man, fuck. She had some kind of deal she struck with him that's really funny that I read in an article one time. Oh, God damn it, I can't remember. See, once we get to the recent presidents, I don't know it. There's not enough funny shit about them. We'll throw him in the B tier. Throw him right there. We'll put him above HW. George Bush, this one's tough to me. Because dog shit president. Just a fucking dog shit president. The only president, I believe, to lose the before Donald Trump, to lose the popular vote and win. And then also, when he was against Al Gore, they wrongly announced the winner. They were like, Al Gore's our next president. And there's a video of Al Gore being like, yes, I'm the winner. And then like 30 seconds later, they're like, oh, fuck, hold up. It's George W. Bush is the president. And then Al Gore collapsed to his knees. And he's like, oh. You can look it up. There's a picture of Al Gore on his knees, like crying after they just took the win out from under him. George Bush is goddamn hilarious. Bad president, though. Bad president. Because 9/11 happened. First of all, he's teaching children how to read when 9/11 happens. And then that's the infamous picture of the dude coming up to him and being like, yo, fucking 9/11 just happened. America's under attack. And he's like, no, that's great, kids. Just keep, oh, yeah. Oh, that is a big word. Yep. Mm-hmm. No, yeah, and then the bees spread the pollen on the flowers, and then everything is good. And he's like trying to like keep it together while he's actively learning that 9/11 is happening. And then that same guy's like telling all the reporters that are in the room, and they're all going like, ah! And he's like trying to keep it together for the kids. Yeah, so, but anyways, he's like, fuck it, we're killing every person in Iraq and Afghanistan. So the problem I have with George Bush and Obama is mainly George Bush. I love George Bush. I think he's hilarious. But this was not a cool law to pass. George Bush passed a law. I forget the name of the law. But basically the law is America is allowed to pretty much bomb anybody or do anything to fight terrorism without regard. You pretty much get a blank check to drone strike civilians. That is the law. Is that I look it up. I forget the name of the law. Is it called the Patriot Act? Which is a law that is still in effect, which is why we get away with, which is why Barack Obama got away with, bombing Syrian civilian people and children dying, and even killing an American citizen, actually. Killing one American citizen. I forget his name, a black boy. Is it the Patriot Act? So it's a law that basically says, like, we can fucking kill whoever. No, it's not the Patriot Act. I was a child when Obama was in office, so I don't remember what he did. I was 8 when Obama got elected, and I remember the big thing. John McCain won 98% in my elementary school election because everyone was like, Obama's a Muslim or whatever, That was like the big thing in Alabama is Obama's a Muslim. And a crazy fact about John McCain. Insane fact about John McCain. Which also very confusing for an elementary schooler to vote in an election and it mean nothing. Because I was like, oh shit, John McCain wins. And then I see Obama wins on the news and I'm like, what? Does my vote mean nothing? As a 7-year-old? John McCain. Prisoner of war in the Vietnam War, tortured for 6 years, captured and tortured for 6 years, escaped. He let all the other prisoners of war get released before him, and then he was the last one to get released. And he shook hands with Richard Nixon. I just learned that today. He was a fucking prisoner of war. He got tortured for 6 years, John McCain. That's crazy. Insane. Had no idea. And that's who I voted for when I was 7 years old. And he did it because he knew one day he'd run for president and he could use that story. Fuck, he was clip farming. He was clip farming. Yeah, I don't know where to put George Bush. I think I'm going to put George Bush at the top of B. Now, this is not based on, Iraq war, Afghan war. This is just George Bush is funny. I'll move him to Z. I guess. He's funny. He's a funny guy. He's hilarious. Now watch this drive. Fool me once, can't get fooled again. Patting Obama on the stomach all the time. Come on. Come on now. Come on with me now. Because you could say the same thing for Barack Obama. Barack Obama, to me, is Black Reagan. And that might not make any... I'll put him at the top C. Obama, to me, is Black Reagan. Dry cakes, thank you for the 18 months. Now, this might make no sense to those of you who know nothing about the U.S. presidents, but Ronald Reagan won presidency off of charm and wit, and he was funny. In terms of their presidency, it was kind of like, same thing with Obama. Presidency. But the thing is Democrats they were a fucking shoe-in. Shoe-in. You had 8 years of George Bush. The Democratic Party could have put forward a fucking turd out of my asshole, and that would have beat Mitt Romney. You know what I'm saying? Because, Obama which is a fascinating story from Obama, a one-term senator, kind of crazy to become the president, which is great. I mean, but I'm saying he's the Black Reagan on account of the sort of the personality hire type thing, Yeah, because it was Mitt Romney, anyone could beat him, I fear. Well, yes, Mitt Romney was not a strong candidate, but the biggest factor was 8 years of George Bush. No one liked George Bush, especially at the end of the 8-year tenure. No, for real, it could have been anybody with the Democratic Party. No one. I mean, after George Bush's fucking dog shit run and also barely making it in his second term, he actually had like 80% of the Muslim vote his first term and like 2% his second term on account of, the whole war in the Middle East or what have you. But yeah, again, Obama, personality hire, fucking cool guy. Okay, president. I'll put him... See, I feel like the rankings are starting to make no sense because I'm starting to incorporate their actual presidential run as opposed to their vibe. Because if we're going aura, I might even put Obama up at like A. Donald Trump is a tricky one because people have a lot of strong opinions on Trump. Because if we're going off the second term, I'm fucking going down at the bottom. But if we're going first term, and I need you guys to be objective about this. I need you to be objective about this. We're going off of vibe, okay? I need you to be objective about this, okay? You got to think like me, think strictly from the U.S. president's perspective. Now we're being objective. We've always been objective. To be a fucking reality TV star that when you started, everyone, myself included, the entire country was like, unbelievable. No, are you fucking serious? The guy from The Apprentice is running for president? That's hilarious. There is zero chance. When I clip this and you get canceled again, I'm saying just be objective about it for 2 goddamn seconds! It is objectively crazy that a reality TV star that comes up and everyone's like, that's fucking stupid. What are you, a fucking idiot? This guy's dumb as shit. This guy's the dumbest guy ever. Look at how he talks in the debates. He just makes fun of Jeb's dog-looking wife. No way he becomes the president. Hillary Clinton is winning. And then on election night, Donald Trump wins the presidency. Is that not fucking crazy? Even if you hate him, you're like, that's fucking crazy. You could hate him and be like, that's fucking bananas. That's crazy. That's great. Why are we yelling? Because I feel like you guys are trying to pin me as something I'm not. You're like, wow, supporting Trump? That's crazy. It couldn't be me. I'm saying, listen to this objectively, dickwipe. That's fucking bananas. That is absolutely bananas. He only won because America is sexist and refused to elect a woman. He won because people hate Hillary Clinton so much that Donald Trump won. That is why. Because the Democratic Party is going to go for same thing. Well, not the Republican Party, because Donald Trump is like a radical figure. But the Democratic Party and the Republican Party for a long time, most party aside from this outlier, that's why fucking Joe Biden was the guy, because they just want middle of the road. Oh, we can kind of sit in both camps. You know, we're still going to bomb babies or whatever, but we're the Democrat, you know, we're the most popular. You know what I'm saying? It's like, they just want middle of the road. And when you're going against this like radical figure that rallies Republicans behind him like fucking crazy, you know, that's why you lose. That's why Kamala Harris lost this term. That's why Hillary Clinton lost the first term. And then Joe Biden won because of Trump's presidency, and people are like, yeesh. All right, yowza. Maybe we should have Joe Biden in there. Maybe we should not have a second term of Trump. But then Joe Biden had such a buns presidency that it was like, well, maybe we do Donald Trump. And then Biden drops out, and now we get Kamala Harris, which for every primary she's participated in, she's been the lowest percentage of people, like, what am I trying to say? People were less likely to choose her out of everyone in the primary. And then suddenly it's like, here, like, how do you expect that person? You know what I'm saying? It was way too late too. Because if she was ever going to win, it shouldn't have been midway through or even half from midway through. Not really? Yes, really. You can look that up. She was the lowest polling among most of the Democratic, candidates. And then, but I mean, she killed it in the debate. But even, do you see what I'm saying, though? Even killing it in the debate didn't result in a win. She fucking walked. Donald Trump took all the bait in the world. Donald Trump, he was eating out of the palm of her hand, and he still won. It was too late, and she was too not favored of a candidate. Anyways, my point is, it's fucking bananas that Donald Trump even won. So from that alone, it is crazy, but not a super great. I think I'm going to do that. And I think I'm going to do, again, we're not basing off of the presidency. Trump is actually so funny. A lot of funny moments from the Trumpster. I think I'm doing this. I think I'm rocking and rolling with this. I think I'm rocking and rolling with this right here. Screenshotted, canceled. Well, I mean, the whole tier list kind of falls apart with William Henry Harrison being in the S tier. I mean, this is not based off of actual presidency. You do realize that. I put LBJ in the A tier because of his big penis. Do you see what I'm saying? LBJ is next to George Washington because of his big penis. So I'm saying this list is based off of, this list is nonsense. He's funny because he's a reality TV star. He has an acting background. Sure, he's funny, but he still sucks. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That's exactly my point. Joe Biden is funny. Top of C tier. George Bush, fucking dog shit president. I put him in the C tier because he's hilarious. Do you see what I'm saying? I put William Henry Harrison in the S tier because he died 2 weeks into office. That is hilarious. I honestly might even bump Joe Biden. Joe Biden was funny. I mean, he wasn't intentionally funny, but he was funny as fuck all the time. Even his debate where it was kind of sad, that was hilarious. Obama, funny president. Ronald Reagan, funny president. Calvin Coolidge, Native American shit. You know? Yeah, when he fell down the stairs, that was giggles and laughs, dude. I will say, if we are incorporating this second term, which I feel like is too soon, I might, because I'm losing so much money in my 401k, but he's not done with the second term. So, do a ranking on who could hoop the best. All right, watch this. Tier list over. Done. Finished. We're done with the tier list. Obviously. Don't even act like that isn't true, dude. Duh. There's like a shitload of pictures of Donald Trump. Not Donald Trump. There's a shitload of pictures of Barack Obama playing basketball, dude. There's not a single picture of any other president playing basketball. Maybe Bush. And maybe Clinton. Oh, man. God, I love the presidents. But see how it gets so, like, once we get to the recent ones, like, I'd say post-Clinton, or even really post-George H.W., I'm like, all I can base it off of is fucking their actual presidency. I can't base it off of fun shit because we don't know yet. Because all the fun shit comes later. I will say, I often go back and watch the debates from like years past, and Obama-Romney was the last debate that was even, like, there's no, I guess honestly Donald Trump is the determining factor in that. Yeah, because he's been in every fucking debate. He's been in 3 goddamn debates. It's, there's no civil debates anymore. It's just like we're fucking name calling, and like it was almost endearing before. You know, if you watch Mitt Romney and Obama, McCain and Obama. McCain, there was that whole like very like hyper conservative people would always call Obama a Muslim, and they'd say he's not a real American, he's a Muslim, and they'd have like horribly racist. That was probably the most racist in recent years, at least in the 2000s, that America's has been, was when Obama was first running for presidency against McCain. Super racist. People called him a Muslim and fucking, you know, whatever. But McCain would actively combat that. You know, like people would do like a Q&A and they'd be like, McCain, how do you feel about your running mate being a fucking Muslim? Oh! And he'd be like, that's not cool. He's not a Muslim. He's actually a really great guy. It's so, you know, he was born and raised here. It'd be some lady that looks like, honestly, a Trump supporter now. It'd be like, how do you feel about fucking Obama being a fucking stupid idiot bitch? And then he would bring it back down. And that was how debates were previously. Even you know, Bush and Al Gore and Reagan and his opponent. That was a great debate. Like, every debate, Yeah, H.W. Bush and whoever the fuck he ran against. I love Bush, not the president. I too love Bush, not the president. I like George W. Bush as a person. Afghan war, Iraqi war, not that great. We can all agree that's not. Also, the fucking law of being like, we can just bomb whoever for no cost. Bush summer. It is Bush summer, so make sure. I'm growing out my bush for Bush summer. I've got it. It's poking out. It's poking out through my waistband. I'm wearing crop tops all summer long, and my bush is out through the waistband of my pants. I'm right there with you, ladies. Let's get those bushes going. Let's grow those bushes out. Let's braid those bushes, baby boy. That's alliteration for you. Come on now. Did you know there was an assassination attempt on George Bush in 2005? Grenade didn't go off. I didn't know that. Dry cakes, thank you for the 13 months. I did not know that. I do know that people threw shoes at George Bush, and he, like, dodged it and shit.